senses. Experience your breath as you breathe in. And then let go, exhale. One more deep breath, breathe in, head to toe. Exhale through your mouth. And so let's pray. Spirit of life, of wisdom, of joy, Spirit of peace. We gather together to know you more, to experience you in a greater way in our lives, to be fully present to what would be helpful and bless each of us today. And so we go into this class now with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, God. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, hi everybody out there. So this is a reading. How many of you have read any of Robert Fulghum, the author Robert Fulghum? Are you kidding me right
What are some names?
now? Robert Fulghum. Everything I needed to, I learned in kindergarten,
Yeah.
everything I needed to know. So he's written a number of books, and I have them all. But one that I love is called True Love. And what he did is he went into a coffee shop. He lives up in Washington, Seattle area. He went into a coffee shop. He had this book in mind, and he put a sign on the table where he sat down saying, tell me your love story and I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And so he was taking notes, and people would sit down and tell their love story, and that's what the book is. Incredible love story. So this is from that book. Love will fill your heart, break your heart, and heal your heart that is broken. Love is an active verb, a river, not a pond. The love we really live is all the love we really have. Love isn't love till you give it away. So just go into your heart right now and get into that love space. You might think about some of the people that you love, some of the things you love to do to get that loving feeling. Right over there in that corner would be good for spacing.
Okay, great.
Welcome. And so, love is the matrix of miracles. I like to think of it that way. So when we're in a loving state of mind, we become magnetic almost to blessings. Certainly, joy fills us when we're in a loving state. There you are, Harold. That's my nickname for him. His real name is Jan, but everyone, some people call him Howard, some call him Jan. I call him Harold most of the time. Anyway, now in the state of love. So just, setting the energy field here with prayer, getting into a love space and sending it out and around. Share your name and the favorite place in the whole world that you visited. I mean, the first one that comes to your mind, because if you've traveled some, maybe there are a lot of favorite places. But share your name with all of us and your favorite place in all the world where you have visited or traveled. And I'll start with Karen, right here in the classroom.
No time to think.
Right.
My name is Karen. I'd have to say Australia.
Oh, nice. Thank you. You don't have to give reasons, just the place.
And what else was I to do? That was it?
That was it. You did it.
My name's Chris, and I think there's a lot. Sausalito.
Sausalito?
Mhm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
In California. Yeah.
Mhm.
My name is Joy, and Guess my favorite place was the beaches in Delaware. Where I lived at
Delaware.
one time.
Okay, the beach in Delaware, is that what you said?
The beach, there's, yeah, Rehoboth Beach and all those, the beaches where I lived, Ocean City, all that.
Okay,
I
thank
guess we'll
you,
say that.
thank you.
And I lived there, so
Lucky to love where you live.
it was fun.
Linda?
My name is Linda, and one of my favorite places is the Finger Lakes area of New York State.
The what?
Finger Lakes area.
Oh, the Finger Lakes
Southern
of New
Tier.
York. Okay, great. Hey, Linda, are you really here? Holy cow.
I'm really here. My name is Linda, and I'd have to say Prague. Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was out of the blue. In the back,
Yeah, my name's Jerry, I say Palm Harbor, Florida.
Palm Harbor. Oh, I know that place so well. It is pretty, huh? It's a throwback to the 60s.
My name's Hans, and one of my favorite places is Fairmont Hot Springs, British Columbia.
British Columbia, huh? Hans says British Columbia. Hot Springs in British Columbia.
But there's so much more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Suzanne, and one of my favorite places was Quebec.
Tibet. Oh.
No, Quebec in
Oh,
Canada.
Quebec. Yeah, great, thank you.
I'm Laura. That was really hard to choose. So Australia was up there, but the Oregon coast, specifically Yachats.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Yachats.
Yaha?
Yachats. It's a tiny little town that doesn't even have a stoplight, but it's right on the coast and the rocks throughout the
Oh,
water. It's just, and it's a protected area, so you won't see any boats.
does it end in a T, Yahat?
Yes, Yachat. Yes.
Yatha.
Yachats.
Yeah, they're-
Yeah.
So it's just
almost like
west
that
of-
with an
I'm not gonna try to pronounce that.
Where is it again?
It's just west
Oregon.
of Eugene, Oregon,
Oh, yeah.
directly west from Eugene, and just north of Florence.
I know the area. I know the area.
Denise?
I'm Denise, and it's hard not to say someplace in the Caribbean or Jamaica, but I guess my home state has the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, and it's one of the most beautiful places.
Where?
The Boundary Waters Canoe Area, it's a whole area in northern Minnesota and up into Canada with just pristine, clear water, trees, and you
Oh,
paddle and you, what's it called when you carry your backpack? You,
Hike.
there's a word,
yeah, I know there.
portage from lake to lake. And
Wow.
everything is on your back, and the campsites are random, and you have to paddle till you get to a campsite that is open, and some of them are just so cool. Some of those have beaches, and just, I don't know, and it's just beautiful. You can drink the water without even boiling it, and
What's the name of that thing you do? What did you?
portage, portage is when
Portage.
you carry your canoe and you have
Yeah.
these great big duffels to carry.
So that may be a new word for someone. I've heard it, but it's been so long. I
Yeah,
had
see,
to ask
so long, I
again.
forgot it too.
Okay, we're going to the
Sure, that's
online.
for us.
The online.
I know that area.
Let's start with Jody. Your name? and your-
Jody, thank you. I'm Jody, and I have to say the ocean in Carlsbad, California.
Thank you. Susie?
Your video's off.
Susie?
Here.
There you
Hi.
go.
I'm Susie, the ocean in Agunquit, Maine.
Where?
Agunquit, Maine.
Oh, Maine. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Howard?
Well, there's so many places for so many reasons, but the one that lasts the longest memory anyway is a Buddhist temple outside of Tokyo called Kamakura.
Buddhist temple.
And in New Orleans, Bourbon Street, it just, since I'm in that genre.
Oh, thank you for that, Howard. Thank you. Betty?
Hi, my name is Betty. And there are so many beautiful places in this country that I've been to, but I think the place that was most memorable was Moscow, Russia. It was eye-opening in Russia.
Where did she say?
What, Russia?
Moscow.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Russia. And did you
Moscow.
say Moscow? Yeah, interesting. See?
Am I on now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I've got to say, I've been reviewing all the places in my mind that I've been, and my most favorite place is wherever I am right now.
Oh, thank you.
Where did she say?
Wherever I am right now.
Oh, that's good.
It's a good one. Judy?
Yes, I share Sig's vision there. I've been so many places. The one is probably the most memorable was Peru and the time I spent there. But I also love West Coast all the way down.
Where in Peru, Judy?
Machu Picchu? Where in Peru? Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu, yes. And the environs around there.
I see you both have your St. Patrick's Day outfit on.
Yeah.
My parents would be
Look
ashamed.
at Eileen.
Yeah, kiss me.
You wore yours on Sunday.
Your favorite place, Eileen?
The ocean everywhere, but I guess my most memorable place was the ashram up in Ashland, Oregon.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Kathy?
Taos, New Mexico.
House, interesting. Okay, did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. My name is Sharon and my favorite place is also Machu Picchu. Spectacular, memorable and all that. Thank you all for sharing that. Makes me want to travel.
And we could go to everybody's.
Yeah, come on in. Hi.
Oh, there he is.
Here he is. He's hiding out in the back row. Okay, now I want you to just pause for a moment. You might close your eyes for just a minute. This is, I think, the next question I'm going to ask you to consider, or the idea, is I believe it's in the arena that we're studying today, which is, well, the 4 agreements for sure. But today we're going to put a focus on don't take things personally. Don't take anything personally. So if you would share your, oh, there she is. Why don't you come sit way up front, Darlene? We were just sharing our name and, yeah, right there is what I was thinking. Your name now and the most, for you, the most important quality in friendship. In other words, if this person doesn't have it, you would probably maybe not want to be their friend or couldn't be their friend. Are you with me? You all got it? So your name, because we're memorizing everybody's names. I don't have name tags, so this helps. So your name and the most important quality in a friendship, in having a friend.
She say me?
No, I'm gonna start online this time.
Good.
You get a break. You get a break. Okay, so I'll start with Kathy, my crack admin.
Kathy and.
Darlene, did I say something?
No, I just don't like to have everyone back of me.
Gotcha.
No.
Sorry, Kath, go ahead.
I'm with you. I wouldn't like that.
Loyalty.
Loyalty?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Betty?
Compassion. See that they're a compassionate person.
Thank you. Siggy? Unmute.
I don't know. I have few friends, but I don't know what their best quality is.
You don't, huh? Think about it. I'll
Yeah,
move
I've
on.
been thinking about it.
Eileen,
I'd have to say love and acceptance.
thank you. Judy,
I would say honesty.
thank you. Jody,
Confidentiality.
they're all so important, aren't they? Thank you. Let's go to Denise and we'll come around that way.
Trust was the first thing that.
Would you guys say your names,
Oh,
please?
Denise Trust.
Trust, thank you.
Laura, respect.
Thank you.
Suzanne, trust.
Thank you.
Hence, compassion.
Compassion, thank you. Jerry,
Jerry, I say compassion.
compassion, thank you. And your name?
Joan, faithful.
Faithful, thank you.
Linda, caring.
Thank you.
Joy, two is not the same, but they have to go together. One is honesty and also truthfulness.
Okay, great, thank you.
Truthfulness probably.
Make it quick, I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Chris?
And Chris, and the first thing that popped in my
It'll
mind
be,
too was
it'll be
trust.
noon, is that okay?
Hang on a minute. Could you take it outside, Denise? Denise?
You're on a call. She's asking if you could go outside.
Pick you up some rebound. Will do. Will do. Bye. I'm sorry, people.
Let's go back. Chris?
First thing, I'm Chris, and the first thing that came to my mind is trust.
Trust, thank you.
My name is Karen, and I would have to say respect. I think some of these all kind of get tied up in the same, but respect and loyalty.
Thank you.
Darlene, and I would think, they've said it over and over again, but I would say love and trust.
Thank you. And my name is Sharon, and I would go with trust. Okay, great. So I'm going to just take a moment to review the first agreement, especially since we have a couple of new people here. So the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. And have any of you, do any of you have friends that have not been impeccable with their word? In other words, they say one thing and do another, or they say, I'll meet you, and they cancel at the last minute. Have you ever done it?
Probably.
So here's what occurred to me as I was thinking about that. To be impeccable with your word is what? People can, it's trust. Without being impeccable, if people cannot count on me to do what I say I'm going to do, how can they trust me? And so as I was thinking about that whole idea of being impeccable, and sometimes life happens and things have to change. Here's the thing, we have to renegotiate the agreement. So, Darlene?
I'm sorry. I was also going to say we need to learn to respond to things rather than to react to things. Because if we don't respond, then sometimes we make promises that we can't keep.
Yeah. Has anyone ever made a promise they couldn't keep? I mean, I think it's part of being a human being. We want to give our word because it's going to help the relationship in some way.
In church, in front of the minister. In church, when
No.
I got married.
Oh,
There you go, that's right, got me there too.
Well, there is that. Linda, thank you for helping the effort here. So we can remember each other's names. What Linda's doing here in the classroom, she's gone into our vault and pulled out name tags that we put around so we can all get to know one another. Siggy, I love your hat. Yeah, thank you. Erin Gobra. Give me la falce. So back to this renegotiating an agreement. I mean, I'm just saying that's what came up for me this morning as I was thinking about the whole idea again of being impeccable with your word. And sometimes I said I'm going to do something, but something came up and I couldn't do it. So rather than just saying, sorry, say, this, can we replan? Can we redo this? Can we?
Sharon, your volume is suddenly down. We can't hear you. Your volume is down. We can't hear you.
We need to turn our
I
phones
turned
on
mine
for
off,
you.
I'm sorry. Nobody ever calls otherwise.
So I'm sorry, Eileen, what did you say?
The volume suddenly went down and we can't hear you.
Volume, Mackie.
You need to face the mic when you talk, you can hear everybody.
You couldn't hear me or you couldn't hear the others?
No, we could hear you really good and then all of a sudden the volume went down and we couldn't hear you.
Okay, how's it now?
Yeah,
A little bit better.
You can't turn your head, Sharon.
Face the mic when you talk.
I've got a mic up here.
No,
No, I think you go through this as well.
I go through that one on the table?
yes. Yeah, you can only have one mic working, otherwise you get feedback.
Oh, okay, all right, well. Speak into the mic, everybody, that triangle, that black triangle right there. So the folks online can hear you. So what I was saying, can you hear me now? How do you
Yes,
like me now? What I was saying is in terms of being impeccable with our word, there are times when we've made an agreement and something comes up in our life and we cannot keep the original agreement. So I'm saying, rather than just saying, sorry, can't do it, say, renegotiate the agreement, just renegotiate it so that there's some completion there. And what it says here is to speak with integrity. In other words, our words ought to match our feelings. And if that would be inappropriate, that one or the other has to change. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. We cannot be heard well if I'll speak for myself. I can't be heard well if I'm speaking from anger. If my words aren't angry, but my heart is, I can't be heard.
That's true.
What I want to communicate doesn't get communicated. So speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. And what's the next phrase on that? Say what you mean, but but don't be mean saying it. Say what you mean, but don't be mean saying it. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Capital W is his way of saying whatever I say is what I'm going to manifest. And so speaking against yourself, any of those thoughts that do not support us aren't worth listening to or even allowing, nor gossip about others. So there's that term triangulation. Do you know, how would you explain triangulation?
One point leads to another.
Say that again?
One point leads to another.
Well, when I'm talking about here, using the word against yourself or gossip about others, I'm talking about being impeccable. Triangulation and saying what you mean. Triangulation is, for example, when I tell Darlene what I don't like about somebody else. And then somebody else is not in the room. When I say something negative about a person, not to them, but to somebody else, which is gossip, I've triangulated and it's very toxic. It's very toxic. Very toxic to all concerned, really. Saying something nice about someone to another person is great, but a negative comment is toxic. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. There it is. Any comments or questions you want to ask about this one before we go to agreement 2?
It's Betty.
Yes, Betty.
Maybe somebody else can help me with the rest of this, but there's a saying that goes when you're about to say something with a negative response, first of all, think, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? And then finally, is it necessary? So sometimes even those other things might be true, but is it really necessary to open your mouth?
Yes, excellent, very good. It reminds me of the four agreements in Rotary around friendship. They're almost exactly the same. Is it good for all concerned? Is it truthful? Is it helpful? Does it build friendship? And is it good for all concerned? Great, thank you. Anybody else on being impeccable before we move on? Okie dokie, welcome Elva. See, you just came in. So impeccable is flawless and faultless, unblemished, spotless. That's the definition. Our word is our power to create. So that's one of the great things. Well, it's pretty mainline right now, but it's ancient wisdom, and Unity has talked about it. In fact, it's our third foundational teaching, which is thoughts held in mind, produced after their kind. Our word creates. What I think about, what I think creates my reality, whether I like it or not. If I'm thinking that that's my reality in the moment, okay, and that down there, I meant to say words. Our words are never void. They're filled with information, even though all the information may not be in the sentence I'm speaking. Boy, there is a lot of information that created whatever I'm just saying. You follow me? Belief system is what I'm getting at here. And so we teach in Unity that every word has energy, life, substance, and intelligence. Every word has life, substance, and intelligence. And, you know, I'm doing that, the meditation on March 31st during Holy Week. And I've been working with Joe Dispenza's ideas. Do you all know who he is? Okay, so he's written a couple of books about this whole idea that is ancient wisdom, and it's what Unity has always taught. And today, scientists and quantum physicists, people like that, are proving what we've said, that our words have life, substance, and intelligence. So he talks about, and I love to do the 12 power meditation. One of the things that he speaks about is when you're considering the energy centers of the body, and that whole idea of energy, creative energy centers in the body is ancient too. I mean, it spans faith traditions. Somehow, innately in our soul, you know, I guess because we have the divine spark, there is that subtle understanding that we're more than just this. We're energy systems. And so the idea is to, let's take a power center, for example. The throat in unity is what we say is our power center. Power, the energy of power transforms energy from one plane of existence to another. In other words, a thought becomes a spoken word. I take a thought that's in my head and I transform it into a spoken word. That's power. It takes power. Our autonomic nervous system knows what to do a lot. So we're not informing it. It knows what to do. Swallow. I don't tell myself, okay, swallow now. My system knows to do that. And so we have this energy center, for example, the energy center of power. And if I meditate on that energy center, the whole point is to up-level or give more power to the center, right? Fill it with good things, because that's what makes us happy. That's what creates a life of peace and joy, and not conflict and trouble and suffering. So to fill the energy center of power. So for example, I might say, as I contemplate this energy center right here, I see the color purple sparkling, and I might say, oh, I'm so grateful that I have the capacity to speak. I'm so grateful that I have my larynx and my voice box so that I can speak. I might say, thank you, Spirit, for informing my words today. Well, I kind of got off track there, so. But just to really let it sink in that our word creates our experience. Oh, he talks in the book about black magic, right? And what he calls black magic is gossip, blame, and judgment. Black magic. And we know from Harry Potter that black magic isn't good. Again, where energy goes or attention goes, energy flows and results show, including words. So these are just some things I thought about, practicing being impeccable, to pause and pray. I have, I work on that myself. Don't react, as you were saying, darling, don't react, respond. Our human beings have this, something hits me and I bounce it back. Rather than bouncing it back right away, just pause and pray or stop and think. Remember in first grade where we had the reader, our first reader, stop, look, and listen? Ask for the most helpful, loving words to say. Tell the truth. I think we were saying that as we thought about qualities of friendship. Do what you say you will do and keep your promises. Be straight with what matters. Don't manipulate to get what you want. Of course, none of us have ever done that.
No.
Not at all. Okay, the second law. Don't take things personally.
That's challenging sometimes.
That's a hard one.
Pardon?
That's a hard one at times.
Well, say more.
I think for me, it's been experiences that I've been through as a young child that created certain feelings and certain triggers. And for the most part, I've really worked on that, but there are still times when my button can be pushed and it's not a pretty sight.
I'm sorry for laughing. Apparently I must resonate with that one. Yeah, thank you. It's not. Who else on don't take things personally?
I think I've been, I guess I've always considered myself somewhat sensitive, but I think I think that I wait too often in my life and much of my life, most of my life, have taken things personally. If somebody says something hurtful, I don't say much. I don't contradict or anything usually, but I just take it inside and I feel sad about it and I think that that's kind of dumb.
Well, but it's so human.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's dumb, it's just human.
Mhm.
And so we're here together and studying spiritual ideas because there's a way to be that integrates the human with the divine. And this is one of the ways, you know, to practice not taking things personally. I think he does a great job of unfolding that about not taking things personally, to know that any comment, negative or positive for that matter, is more about the person saying it than you or me.
They really can't tell me who I am and what I am.
No.
And that's what makes the difference. If you
Good
just,
point.
you know, that's how I need to see things. And so this is really good.
So what other comments about don't take things personally? Betty?
I think I used to be very sensitive too, because growing up, when my mother's method of control, I might say, was always saying, if I was coming out with a certain outfit on, she would say, what would the neighbors think? What will people think? And that always made me think about what people were thinking about me. But after I read this book, which was quite a while ago, it really changed the way I looked at the way people were saying things. And I think I've mentioned before that I belong to a discussion group here in town that's composed of males of different political persuasion from me. And my friends said, how could you be in that group? I'd go crazy, you know. But when they have something to say, when I say something and then they disagree with me, I can not take it personally. I can think they are disagreeing with what I am saying or my point of view, but that doesn't nullify my value and my opportunity and my experience of saying it, so that they have different perspectives sometimes too. So this is my, I swear by this. I should wear it around my neck in a
I love that picture. Yeah, so that group is a spiritual practice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, who else?
I had a little experience this morning. Am I on?
Yes.
Oh, that's why I'm a little late. I had to go downtown. But anyway, this morning I went, you know, and I came to a stoplight, and there was a big diesel pickup with a motorcycle in the back, and he sat, you know, next to me. And this guy, you know, well, you know, a big diesel, it blows that smoke out, you know. So at first I thought, well, you know, I know sometimes they won't, as an older truck, you have to let them idle. You can't, they won't idle, and you have to keep doing it. But then it dawned on me, this guy's a little too much. And I'm going, wait a minute, this guy being a jerk. And, you know, directly, he did it, and then the light changed. But I was like, what is he doing? Trying to be a smart, and then it dawned, like you just, I try to feed myself. Hey, this had nothing to do with me. If this guy was being a jerk, he does that to other people or does something to other people. He's just a jerk if he was doing that. And because I got, you know, I think, wait a minute, you know, this is a little too much, doing this too often. But sometimes I take things personally, but like you said, yeah, I have to come back, even with my dog. If he does something to me, I sometimes get mad, like what did he bite me personally? And then I get mad at him.
I hear you. Exactly. Reactive rather than responsive. But, and don't take things personally. There was a book that one of our Unity ministers wrote quite a while ago. Gary Simmons wrote a book called The Eye of the Storm. And the bottom line of that book is, don't take things personally. And you've seen this. If I'm pointing my finger at you, blaming you, making you wrong, I've got 3 pointed back at myself. So don't take things personally is an extraordinary spiritual practice. And practice does make perfect, doesn't it, Betty? Or almost perfect.
Well, I just want to quickly add to what Alva was saying. Remember that too, when somebody cuts you off on the highway, why do we get angry when they cut us off? They're not doing us to us personally. Of course, I secretly wish that there would be a policeman at the next intersection. That
Yeah. I deal with that a lot when I drive. Anybody else?
Yeah, driving seems to come up quite a bit on this particular one, doesn't it? I was thinking, when I first read the book, this is the one that hooked me on the book. When I saw that, and it just like a slap in the face. It's like a new realization. I said, I've known this intellectually all my life, but this confirmation in this book here just really, really made it sink in. The impact hit me.
Yeah.
And then, so recently, when I was speaking of Palm Harbor, we were back in Florida here a few months ago, and I'm driving down the road, and somebody comes by and flips you off, and I realized I was going too slow for, that's what older people do in Palm Harbor, Florida. Might happen around here once in a while too, I don't know, but this person was not happy with me, and I didn't have to get angry, whereas in the past it would have really ticked me off, and like somebody hits the horn why should I get angry? He's just trying to warn me that maybe there's some danger around or something.
Great
Somehow
attitude.
I gotta get angry about it, so that takes a little practice to work on this one, but it leads to a little more peace of mind, I think.
Amen. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
Can I comment? This is Kathy.
Of course you can.
Oh, is somebody talking in the room? Because otherwise I have a comment.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Laura will wait. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just want, somebody in the room, I didn't catch who, had said that it's hard because she's so sensitive. And I have a Pisces moon, and so I'm really sensitive. And it's been an issue my whole life, my sensitivity. And in my 20s, I figured out to stop taking things personally, really to protect myself, because I'm such an empath that it just sticks to me. And it was, a stranger who had been very rude to me. And at first it was like crushing me. And then I thought, I have no idea what that person went through today. Maybe this has, it probably has nothing to do with me, because there was no reason for that rudeness toward me. And it was like a switch for me. And so the jackass on the freeway, the person, the clerk who got the waiter who got my order wrong, they're just people doing the best they can. Sometimes they have anger issues, but it has nothing to do with me. And so it's really easy for me not to take things personally, unless it's somebody who I know and love.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then it's hard for me to not take it personally.
How true. How true. Thanks, Kat. Laura.
Yeah, thank you. No, this is a really good one. I was also very sensitive as a child, very sensitive. I was very self-conscious of all kinds of things. And so early in my career, my first kind of job was when I was in college, and a female, mostly male-dominated field. I was so just like, I'm good enough, these things are all happening. I'm just not able to do this. And oh my gosh, I remember being so upset. I went to the bathroom and just started crying, like, I just can't do this. But it was a turning point for me, because I was like, well, this isn't gonna really work for me. Keeping the job. Taking things everything personally. So it was a real turning point, and I started to realize, well, the world does not revolve around me. Things are not going wrong because of something that I did. Right. And so over time, that kind of evolved. And then later in my career, it kind of became a fish. So I went a little farther to the other side. And I still, obviously, it's a journey, but this is a really personal for me.
Yeah, thank you.
What she said reminds reminds me of, on page 49 at the bottom, you said, if you do not take it personally, you're immune in the middle of hell. That's what.
You're immune.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you got a shield against all the negative energies coming in.
Yeah. You remind me of that saying I've often heard is if you're going into something that you know is conflictual or toxic or difficult energy, you surround yourself in white light.
Yeah.
Like, well, protective mechanism for sure, but the white light is calling spirit to surround you.
I was gonna say, one of the things that, especially when you're real sensitive, because I was at one time, I still am sometimes, but I just asked myself, is this fact or is this opinion?
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
if
opinion
it's,
almost
yeah,
always.
it's somebody else's opinion or whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing, one of the things that I decided I wanted to develop more around this, don't take things personally, is to be curious. Be curious. If someone says something that I find in some way offensive, to ask a question. You know, what's going on? What is this about? Or I don't understand. Tell me more. What is this? What does this mean? Okay. So he says this in the book. I didn't note the page, but one of the things he says is, you will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile for a negative idea. That's why I think spiritual practice is so essential.
Yes.
It's like weeding our consciousness on a regular basis. Because you know what happens in your gardens if you don't, in our gardens, if we don't take care of them. They can get overgrown with weeds, and then the flowers can't flourish. So this whole idea of spiritual practice is so essential, and this is related to don't take things personally, and also that be impeccable. Don't say things against yourself, because that's a weed, and it's a seed, a weed and a seed. Any comments there? No? Okay. So this is from the book. Joy, will you read this for all of us? Can you see it okay, Joy? Okay.
Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is nothing's other do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of your own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinion of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Yeah. Powerful, isn't it? Any of you know someone who is a victim?
Oh, yes.
Always the victim.
It's hard to be around.
Pardon?
It's hard to be around.
It's hard to be around, isn't it? It's energy that doesn't agree with who you really are.
How do you work with that? I have a friend who I'm always feeling like I want to help her, but then it's like, oh gosh, I don't know you telling me what to do. And she's just always, things are happening around her and she's the victim. And I'm just like, oh, it's so hard.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how, do you have any suggestions?
I wish I had a really good one, because I tried to fix people too.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
You want to give them some empowerment, you know, to get themselves out of whatever it is that they're.
Because it's almost feeling like it's unhealthy for me to be around it.
Yeah.
Because it feels very draining.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to like stop being a friend with her because because that also feels awful. So it's like
If I were in, I mean, my only suggestion is pray for the right words.
Mhm.
Because I think it depends on the situation, you know, but praying for the right words to come to trust that Spirit in you will give you the right words in that moment. And then you reminded me of a situation in my life. I was married and one of my dear friends, I just loved her. We were really good friends. And I would complain to her over and over again about that husband of mine.
And she was.
And I was a victim, but I didn't know it. It was a blind spot, which I think we all have, those blind spots. I can't see what I can't see. And
You needed to vent.
one day she said to me, then get a divorce. And it was like, oh my God, it woke me up. Do you know what I'm saying? It woke me up. And I'm sure it took great courage on her part to say that to me. But I got the message.
Sometimes you have to do that because you'll enable people, you'll continue to
If you
let
listen,
them
listen.
be that way.
That
And maybe
re-victimizes
they
them.
don't realize that they're being that way. And sometimes being very truthful like that helps them more than anything else.
Gives
But be
insight.
truthful with love.
Yeah.
You know, with the words you use.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes back to a trusting relationship, right? What were you saying, Karen?
Well, I've found I've had a number of opportunities to deal with others who have a victim story. And I have found that when I do try to rescue, I re-victimize. And
you feed that mentality.
And I have, I find it difficult to stop because it's very seductive to my ego to rescue somebody.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a human thing to want to help. You know, how can I help here?
It's good looking, but it makes me feel good.
Yeah. Only for a moment though.
And then when they turn around and come back an hour later with the same problem, we're going to wonder, am I married around?
Okay, so I have that question down at the bottom. What is your experience of this and what are your thoughts about it? So thank you all for sharing. Anybody out there want to share on this quote from the book? Jody, I can tell you're going to say something.
I guess it's okay that I'm easy to read, especially by you, Sharon. You know, I have a lot going on in here as I think about all these wonderful things. So for me, it's about, you know, to be impeccable with your word, there has to be a consciousness level within you, an awareness. And so I just feel as though it's pretty human for us to do what we do. So it becomes for me, because of the yin and the yang and the up and the down and the left and the right, I believe that negative thoughts do come in my head in other words, I don't believe I can completely eliminate all of the negative things that come. What I believe, or what I'm playing with myself, is to change, have this awareness and this consciousness that when I do have and realize, which I practice, so I do it quicker and quicker, better and better, but I'm human, and therefore, for me, it's that practice of noticing when that negativity is there, changing it quickly, being aware, learning, moving on. It's all a practice for me all the time, and life brings lots of practice. But that's what I was thinking when you were seeing whatever you were seeing, Sharon.
Yes, I could see the wheels turning. Yeah. Well, you know, it is Lent, Jody. And Lent it's kind of a universal practice, not always the same time of the year as we as Christians. But it is a universal practice to be aware and change. And Lent is the most potent time of the year to do it. Because as the Irish would say, the little people are all around to help us. Or there's energy, let's just say there's spiritual energy all around to help us. And so the whole idea of Lent is to feast on what brings you peace and joy, feast on what gives you life, and fast from what doesn't. As Jody was saying, you know, there is this whole idea of the collective unconscious. Remember we said, every thought has life, substance, and intelligence. And do you know how many people there are in the world? I mean, I don't, but billions, right? And they're all thinking. And they're not all thinking good things. Hence, there's energy out there, and it can be catchy. And what I've discovered this Lent is some of what I thought I let go of a long time ago has come back in my mind. I go, what the heck? I thought I let go of this, but here it is. It's Lent, and every weed that might still be there, even if it's coming back as a little sprout, might show up. But it shows up only to be released. If it's not life enhancing, if it's not good for our spiritual, mental, emotional health, it's not worth keeping. It's not worth giving a nanosecond to, unless we can learn from it. And just being aware of it is learning from it, right? Because then it's not a blind spot anymore. Driving our behavior, you know, our blind spots drive our behavior beyond what we are aware of. Okay, he talks about amitote. And this is my summary of what he says about amitote. It's internal incoherence. Internal incoherence. The lady at the well in scripture. It was part of what I was speaking about on Sunday. So Jesus is traveling from one place to another, and he has to go through Samaria. And this is what we were talking about just now. Samaria represents a mixed state of mind and heart. Have you ever had a mixed state of mind and heart? Your emotion isn't matching what you want. Your emotion isn't matching what you feel. And so this woman at the well in Samaria, and it was said, or the practice was, Jews don't mix with Samaritans. And because Jews represent spiritual things and Samaritans mix state of mind, right? So spiritual ideas don't mix well with that. It's like oil and gasoline. And there is Jesus at the well, however, talking to this woman who has come. And he says to her, give me a drink, because she's getting water at the well. And she says, you know, why are you talking to me? Because Jews don't mix with Samaritans. And he said, if you knew the water that I have to give you, you would be saved, essentially. And she says, she spouts back a spiritual statement. Well, I know that our father Abraham, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, wait a minute, you know, you're living with a guy and you're not married to him. So you're kind of incoherent here, preaching a spiritual truth to me when you're not living it. And she says, oh my gosh, you caught me. So internal incoherence is letting our heart and our mind be in sync, in sync. An example would be, you know, if you were listening to a band and the drummer isn't playing what the other musicians are playing, you want to go like this, right? So the spiritual practice, and it's don't take things personally. You know, it's like talking against ourselves. That is what he calls a mitote. That's out of coherence with who we really are. Because who we really are is divine. Who we really are and meant to express fully is divine human beings, spiritual human beings. Any comments or questions there? Okay. Whoops, did I miss one? Oh, yeah. Linda, will you read this one for all of us? Page 48 in the book.
You take things personally because you agree with whatever is said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in the dream of hell.
Oh, that's pretty picturesque, isn't it? Yeah. The poison goes through you. Wow. And so my question is, what happens then? So we take something personally, we let the poison go through us, and then we get trapped in the stream of hell, or suffering, pain, hurt. What happens then?
Nothing. You're trapped.
Huh?
You're trapped.
And what happens then?
Then you're very incoherent with yourself.
Yeah. Anyone else? What
That's a
happens?
pretty significant line there. The next line is, what causes you to be trapped is what we call personal importance.
Yeah.
Some people would call that ego, I think. If I get it right, I always wondered about ego stuff.
Yeah.
That's what that seems like to me. And yeah, trapped. Wow, what an uncomfortable place to be.
Yes, very uncomfortable. And what happens then?
I think you lash out to other people. You lash out and treat them poorly, as well as yourself.
Yeah.
Or you could just become depressed and.
Say that again.
You could become depressed and just.
Shut out. You become depressed, yes.
We break one of the other agreements that says there, because we make the assumption that everything is about me. We make that assumption. It's automatic. It's almost like ingrained in human condition, I think.
Yes, and just pause for a moment and reflect. What do you think is at the bottom of all that?
Repeat the question again.
What do you think is at the bottom of all that? Because Jerry was sharing from the book, Don Miguel Ruiz's statement that, you know, when we take things personally, taking things personally is the height of selfishness and self-centeredness.
Aren't we taught a lot of time, well, I'm just asking the question myself. Aren't we taught a lot of times when, especially when we're young, we're the center of the universe in, you know, when we're born and we're children. And then if you continue to grow with that idea that you are the center of the universe and everybody should be looking at me and applauding me, then you never grow out of realizing you're part of a whole.
True.
You think you're just the center.
And what kind of a place is that to be?
I would think it would be hell.
Well, it would be hell. What's an experiential word beside hell?
A narcissist.
Lonely.
Well, lonely too,
It's
yeah.
lonely there. Very lonely. And so I'm gonna go back to my question. What's at the bottom of that?
Fear.
Fear. Fear.
I was thinking unworthiness.
Unworthiness.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the fear and unworthiness, what is it? I'm not worth loving?
Right.
I'm afraid I'm not worth loving. Or I'm afraid I'm unlovable.
Right.
It's not a good thing. So this whole idea of, and it, victim or victor, take your pick. Because life is about challenges, isn't it? But it's more about overcoming the challenges and the difficulties. So what happens then? We've been talking about that. Lonely, depressed, unhappy. Anger.
Can I make a comment?
Please, I've been waiting for you to comment.
This is Howard. I'm having a little trouble with that statement that you've got up. First of all, taking things personally, often somebody will come say, you're stupid, or you're ugly, or you did this, or you did that. I don't agree with that. That causes me to get angry. And my struggle is not to react to somebody, although I don't agree with what they're saying, but what he's saying, you take things personally. Well, I take the insult personally because you agree with whatever said. I don't agree with what's being said. My dander gets up and I want to lash back, but my Christian belief says, shut up. It's his problem, not my problem. But, this whole statement's implying that when somebody says something to you personally, you agree with it and take the poison. I don't agree with it. I agree he's directing it at me or she's directing it at me, but I don't agree with this statement and it upsets me.
Well, what if you put the word when in front of it?
That's what I
When
was
you
gonna
take
say.
it personally.
Yeah, I would take the because out.
Because we don't
and put
always
when.
take things personally.
Right.
If you think of it as when you take things personally.
Here's another spiritual principle that's hard to swallow. It is, I can't see in anybody else what doesn't already exist in me.
Yeah.
Because we're mirrors for each other.
And sometimes that's very hard to see.
It's very hard to see. Our job is to keep the mirror clean.
And the garden weeded.
And the garden weeded.
So much to do to be a good person.
But back to Howard and your statement that, you want to, when someone says something unkind, you want to lash back. That's the normal human reaction. I think one of the points he's making here is to really like metabolize into our very system and consciousness. It's not about me.
Right.
If I really get when someone hurts me, if someone says something that ordinarily would hurt me, if I pause and realize this is not about me. It's not what we learned. It's not the human experience to get that. The human experience is we've got parents who tell us things and we learn to survive in the world by paying attention to what's told to us. But there comes a point when survival strategies don't work so well anymore. And so when we take in what someone says, it is like poison. If I bless you, if I allow it in. But the place I'm thinking to be is to have grown to that point spiritually where our automatic reaction is compassion or forgiveness, rather than, well, you jerk. Don't you ever talk to me like that? Instead, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I don't know what's going on in you right now that you would feel the need to say something unkind to me, but I'm sorry about it.
I think this really, really depends a lot on your age. I'm experiencing things, it took me till almost this age to get these concepts, and I can see myself in the playground. We don't want to choose you. Do we have to take her because she can't play baseball? Do we have to? And I'm in second or third grade, not a clue. And it's so sad that these things are not, part of, now maybe if I were in a family who, we went to church or practiced that, but my family was like this as well. So I heard that from them as well as the outside. So that was my belief system for many, many years. And you make some really bad decisions based on those feelings. And it takes a long time to, and I'm sure I would assume you've experienced that. My parents were not enlightened, so to speak. So I'm amazed, and I'm sitting here thinking, if I understood this and I practiced this years ago, what a different path my life would have taken. Because I made a lot of decisions based on different information, I guess I'll just put it that way.
And like what?
So this is pretty astounding.
Yeah, it is. And one thing that I did with my sensitive nature was, but on top of another fault, is that I wasn't as quick to forgive. I kind of would hold a grudge, and it doesn't feel good in your heart to hold grudges either. I mean, it doesn't feel good to avoid people or just, stuff all that inside too. So this is.
I think that's what he's saying here, right? It goes back, and thank you for that. I think it's true of all of us. I think that's one of the things in life. Yeah.
It's different,
And so for the wisdom keepers, to carry that energy and be a beacon of light for it. I went right to education. If teachers could be in a place of, certainly parents could be in a place of. So we all have to get back to church. That was an unbiased advertisement.
I was gonna say, for me, I understand all this and I believe it and I work it, but I find that sometimes when my energy gets low, that's when I have a difficult time. That's when I'm just filled with gobbledygook, I guess. It's just total confusion.
Well, yes, good point. And I think that's why we always hear, take care of yourself. Not in a selfish way, but take care of yourself so that you are a light in the world, not a darkness.
Right.
And I was gonna say, I think maybe it's harder with your children, your spouse, your mother and dad, those close people to you. If they say something, it's more difficult not to take it personally. But it's a good thing to learn to do. But sometimes that's a hard thing.
I think and see if this fits. Does it fit to say that taps into, here's someone I trust?
Right.
But you kind of broke my trust.
Breaking my trust. Can I trust this person? And that hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, Terry Cole Whitaker, you all know who she is, right? I don't know where she is these days, but she was just the hottest thing going on in what, the 80s?
Yeah, the 80s.
I like this.
Yeah.
I went to a church in San Diego in the 80s. She was amazing.
Did you go to her church?
I did,
Yeah, I've heard great things. I heard her speak once.
She was in Hawaii the last time I heard her, but I haven't heard her since then. She wrote a book with that title.
What you think of me is none of my business. That's a tough one, but it's true. It says so much, right? Oh, how about this one, the paradox? Don't take things personally, but take things personally. I had to do it. Because I just want to make a point of, we are not to take things personally, but we are to take things personally if it helps us grow. if it brings us aware, like my friend saying to me, get a divorce. I had to take that personally because she was telling me something important for me to know and realize. So don't take things personally and yet be in the awareness of, what is my response to this? Is there something here to help me or guide me? Any comments or questions there?
I was just thinking about that. You could take that, get a divorce, or you could take it as, well, I think she was trying to tell you, just make a decision.
Yeah, right.
She wasn't really telling you to get a divorce. She was telling you to make a decision, but she didn't use those words, so that's the way I would think.
Well, she, and I know she loves me and she said it from a loving heart.
Very emphatic.
And what it awakened in me is, gosh, I have been complaining and complaining and complaining and doing nothing.
And maybe you never really wanted to consider that option,
I never
kind
did.
of like me.
And you
So that's
realize
why
you
it's so
have a
obvious
choice.
to other people, but
It's so obvious to other people. And a blind spot it was a blind spot for me for sure. But
Well, you didn't know you had a choice.
Pardon?
You just came to the realization, she made you realize you do have a choice.
Yes. Yeah, she did me a favor. Okay. He also says this in the book. I didn't mark the page. Laura, would you read that one for us?
Sure. You are never responsible for the action of other. You are only responsible for your own actions.
Yeah, love it. Never responsible for the actions of others. Boy, that was a tough one. You're only responsible for your own actions. And we're also responsible for what we know. Once I know something, I'm incoherent if I act differently than what I know. Ouch! I can't tell you how my dog is teaching me that. Never mind people, right? My dog. Who doesn't listen to me, who does not know the word no. Who challenges my peace of mind. It's a good practice. She's a spiritual practice one. Chris, will you read this one for us? Can you see it okay?
Sure, I can see it. People have their own opinions based on their belief system. So nothing they think about me is really about me. But just live it, life would be so much simpler.
Yes, it is.
It's complicated, but this is simple and would work.
It would work. It does work, huh? So nothing they think is about me. Yeah. But when you're in a conversation with someone and there's a disagreement about this and that, to know that nothing they say is really about me or nothing they think takes such great presence of mind. So this was in the book. There is a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing. I capitalize the nothing personally. You become immune to black magicians. The whole world can gossip about you, and if you don't take it personally, you are immune. Best bank in the land. Young black kids were taught not to take. Oh, I meant to say best band in the land. So, I need to have someone else check my spelling. Best band in the land. It was on 60 Minutes, I believe. A group of young black kids were taught not to take any of it personally and not react. So the situation was this. There's a band in New Orleans. And back in the day, when it was a very dangerous to be a black person in white areas. So this black band during Mardi Gras was, the story goes, was marching through the city, because they were one of the bands chosen. And white people were up in the balcony spitting on them and throwing things down and booing and saying nasty things. And so the band leader got the kids back and began to teach them not to take any of that personally, that it had absolutely nothing to do with them. And I think that's such a beautiful story. It's the same story that Reverend Sally Taylor, who was on the staff at Unity Village when I was studying for the ministry. She's a black woman, we have the same birthday. But she said she marched with Martin Luther King Jr. And the training for them, all of those who marched, was do not react to anything that people say. You cannot react. If you react, you can't march with us. And she said she had to drop out because she just couldn't do it. So it's a tremendous thing to practice not taking things personal. If we keep this agreement, we can keep our heart open and our love center unblocked, if we can do it. And that really is the goal, isn't it? Compassionate, loving hearts, beings in the world. That's it. So, pause for a moment. Let's just close our eyes and be still for a moment. And just hold that thought in your heart. Put those words in your mind's eye. Put those words in your heart. And just reflect for a moment on some of the things that you've heard today and maybe thought and said. And what will be helpful that you will take into the day and maybe the rest of the week, maybe forever? What will support you in your own spiritual expression? Peace of mind, joy of heart. So God, we just give thanks for this time. I know that you are blessing each of these people here in the classroom and online who have given themselves to this exploration of spiritual, life-giving ideas.
No rule for next time.
So God, we thank you now. As we go back into our day, our hearts are light, our minds are open, our spirit is filled, and we go into the joy and the blessings of this day. We claim it in your name and in your nature, and we give thanks for this time. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for being here. See you next week for truth number 3.
And when you leave, you can just put your name tags in the box here.